What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Everyone's having a great day today. So today, we're back for another vlog, and final season's over, so no more having to worry about school for me. It's back to making the regularly scheduled programming kind of stuff. You know, car vlogs are going to be back. I've missed a lot of Friday uploads due to schoolwork, and I made a lot of, like, crappy kind of sit-down stuff, and you know, primarily that's been financial related, but it's also been schoolwork related. But now that I'm off for Christmas break for a few weeks, I've got to wait for registration to reopen so I can actually go and get my classes, because registration only opened 2 months ago, and they didn't say anything about that to me. But we're not driving the truck today because, as you guys can tell, it's been raining, and that thing is one of the scariest things to drive in the rain. And my mom offered me to take the Chevy today, so I'm not gonna say no. It's economical, it's safe in this kind of weather because this truck just likes to spin and go do all sorts of crazy stuff during the rain. And I think if that's a bird bomb, I'm gonna be really upset. I don't know what that is, but yeah, the Kia's home too today, which is literally why I'm driving the car, because my brother didn't drive to school today. My sister isn't old enough to drive her own car yet. She just got a learner's permit, so obviously she can't drive. But yeah, I just had a thought come to my head just like a few minutes ago. Who would like to see a showdown, theoretically, if we ever did make any trips to Mexico anytime soon, between the truck and the Equinox? They're the two biggest cars in the fleet. I feel like it would be an interesting showdown. This car makes like 170 horsepower. That makes, when it was new, 210. Before the tune, obviously it's got 237,000 miles on it. It's got a 93 race tune from Brent Speed. Race tune is what I call it, that because it's a performance tune. But I think really, this is an argument we've been having inside the family for a while, is this versus that. And I want to see what you guys think. I'm going to put a poll in the corner here, but if I don't do that, go ahead and go tell me in the comments which one you think would win. The tuned truck probably makes, if the engine was in brand new condition, it's really healthy, minus a couple things. So it might make close to the normal horsepower numbers. But in theory, this should be making, again, if the engine was immaculate, about 230, 240 horsepower to the crank. So came out about 200, 210 to the tire, give or take. That car made 150 crank horsepower new. That car also has over 200,000 miles. So it's probably, you know, give or take about 5 to 10, 15 horsepower. It does weigh about 1,000 pounds light. So that car is about 3,500 pounds, 3,000 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. This, with me in it and about 200 pounds worth of trash in there, is about 4,400 pounds. So give or take me out of it, I'm about 250, 260 pounds. Take the trash bags out of about 200 pounds. We're down into the 38, 39, early 4,000 zone. So I'd say it's a close run between these two. So we'll have to see. My brother and my dad have been very adamant that 150 horsepower car could beat this, due just to the weight disadvantage alone, even though power to weight is a huge thing. I mean, obviously cars like the S2000 making 400 horsepower can be Hellcats, so you never know. But anyway, I'm running late now because I've been sitting here bantering. Let's hop in the Chevy as soon as I hit what was my Rocklight kit. Let's get moving. So I'm gonna find the key first off. All right. So this is probably one of my favorite cars my mom's ever owned. My mom's owned a few cars since I was a kid. She had a Taurus when I was born. It was an early 2000s model Taurus. I think it was like a 98 or 99, maybe a 2000. She had a 2000 Dodge Grand Caravan, which wasn't great at all. I hated that. She had a 2011 Grand Caravan, which sucked just as much. You guys remember that car? This car is really nice, though. I like this car a lot. Okay. Tire pressuring system's been going berserk. Needs an oil change, we all know that. But anyway, we're gonna head on over and get my brother and sister from school, and we're gonna have a good day today. Alright guys, so coming back to you guys a few hours later. I meant to film more today, but I kind of didn't. But I do have something I do want to talk to you guys about. It involves the truck a little bit. And that is, I'm in a bit of a dilemma right now. A lot of you guys know I've been working towards building a new exhaust setup for the truck. I've currently got DNA short tube headers in the box ready to go. I've got a TrueFlow or T-Flow X-pipe, which is going to be a Cat X-pipe once it's installed, and 2 black tips, the powder-coated black tips. And pretty much the only thing I need left is a muffler decision, which I want to talk about. So I've been loving my Flowmaster. A lot of people don't know the backstory behind it. Pretty much, if you guys didn't know my current exhaust setup, it's pretty much the entire thing is stock minus a Flowmaster 40 muffler and a different tip. That's pretty much the only thing that's really Those are really the only things different from the stock setup. I still have all 4 catalytic converters. I've got the stock really crappy manifolds. Every time I look at them, I just get sick because it's robbing horsepower for sure. Probably not a lot, to be honest. Exhaust systems, fun fact, for those of you who've only played Gran Turismo and Forza, exhaust doesn't add 50 to 60 horsepower. That's like 5. A full exhaust really doesn't do a lot horsepower-wise. It does more for the breathing of the car, so make changes. The power band, but we won't be gaining horsepower like crazy, astronomically or anything, regardless of material or anything like that. So, fun fact of the day. Anyway, my dilemma comes in that the Flowmasters, while they've been great, they have a lot of drone, which is a problem. I really don't like drone in general. And I didn't really notice how bad it really was until yesterday when I was driving to my school to take my final. I'm filming this on Tuesday, by the way, so if you guys saw my post on Instagram and all that junk about me taking the finals, because I was taking that on Monday and filming this on Tuesday. You get the idea at this point. I was cruising about 65 miles an hour on the way there, and my truck usually at 65 is about 2,500 RPM, maybe 2,600 RPM. And the drone was just ridiculous. I had the windows up because it was cold and I had the heat on. I was kind of just trying to stay comfortable on the way up there. I mean, anxiety in general was ramped up really bad yesterday, so I kind of needed to be comfortable in the drive. And it just was pounding in my ear. Even though I have 4 catalytic converters and the stock resonator in there, it still just pounded my ears. And obviously, you guys know I don't hate the tone of the Flowmasters on this truck right now as it sits. It doesn't have that kind of tin can kind of sound that Flowmasters tend to give on most cars. But it is kind of just, it's there to me. I've gotten used to the sound, I guess, and it's just not really, as intoxicating as it was a long time ago. I still love it. It's not a bad sound, and it just, I don't know, the drone is just so bad. That's really it. It's really the drone that's bothering me more than anything, because the tone doesn't bother me. It's a lot less restrictive than the stock muffler. It probably still is a little bit restrictive. It's a dual chamber muffler, so it's got some restriction to it itself, but it's definitely not quite as bad as the giant frickin' what's it? That screen tank from Monsters Inc. That kind of deal it had on there. Anyone who's messed with the Sport Trax exhaust knows how big the Gen 1's stop muffler is. It's massive. But with that, my dilemma is that I really don't want to get rid of the Flowmasters due to the backstory. For those who haven't been watching the channel for a long time and don't know the backstory, the Flowmaster setup was a gift from high school. When I graduated high school back in 2017, my uncle called me. He was like, hey, I've got something for you. And then I literally, 2 seconds later, I received pictures from him of a Flowmaster box and the tip. I believe it was the tip. I know I got the Flowmaster box, though, in the pictures. And told me, take the truck to this shop tomorrow, and they're going to have it on there. So I took it up there, and sure enough, I had a Flowmaster 40 on there when I got there to pick it up. It sounded really good. Unfortunately, Flowmasters do tend to do the opposite of most mufflers, and when they break in, most mufflers get louder. Flowmasters, on the other hand, do the opposite. They get quieter when they break in. And when I first met Hayden, he didn't believe me, and I showed him the install video, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's notably louder." The truck used to be a lot louder than it is. And I wasn't too worried about that because I was like, it's a daily driver. I don't need it to be loud. But then getting outshadowed by literally everybody in terms of exhaust, and me going through that phase, me wanting to have a louder car, but not too loud. I don't want to be piercing deafening everybody anytime I even big toe the gas like from SpongeBob. Just just tap the gas and deafen the entire country. I want something that's nice toned and is not overbearingly loud, but louder than it is. And I wanted something to mitigate drone. Now, obviously, the drone part didn't come until recently. I'd say about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I really started getting worried about drone. After I'd read how bad Flowmasters actually are in drone, and I hadn't experienced it to myself yet until, really until yesterday. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's a dilemma because, again, I don't want to tear it apart because my uncle spent good money on getting this set up. The 2 1/4 inch Flowmasters are not cheap. If that's even what he used, I honestly don't know. He didn't tell me the dimensions or anything on the muffler. At least I don't remember. I think it was 2 1/4. But yeah, it was a it was definitely around that size. And knowing the price of those 2 1/4 inch mufflers, they're not cheap. They're about 95 to $100 most of the time. So I know they aren't cheap. And then on top of that, labor and stuff like that, they were at it for quite a while. And it was definitely rough. Probably for him to cough up that much money on something that's not even his. So I definitely don't want to tear it apart as just to show respect for the fact it was a gift. I've really enjoyed the setup, but I just want to make it louder and kind of add upon it instead of tear it down. But at the same time, with how bad the Flowmaster is on drone, I also want to change it up a little bit. I've kind of gotten out of that impersonate a V8 phase that a lot of people with V6 trucks go through, and a lot of people just V6s in general, especially on the American side. People with Camaro, Mustang, Challenger V6s. V6 trucks, the S10s, the Rangers, the Sport Tracks. I mean, anything that had a V6 and it was kind of like an American style vehicle, like a truck or one of the American cars. It just seems to be a trend on that end. I bet it probably isn't just that, just the American stuff. It's probably a lot of other cars too, but everyone kind of just wants to impersonate a V8. So they'll throw Flowmasters on, they'll throw exhaust off of V8 cars, and there's a lot of people run the GT exhaust on 4.0 Mustangs to try to give them more of a V8 sound, which works. I honestly would rather have the GT exhaust than the Flowmaster in terms of the Mustang. The Mustang just seems to fit that better than a Flowmaster setup, but like I said, I've enjoyed it. I just don't have a drone. And like I said, I'm out of that impersonated V8 phase. I feel like if I'm going to own a V6 truck, I need to own the fact it's a V6 truck. So what have I been looking into? And now this is actually a setup I planned on doing last year when I didn't care about that too much. I didn't care about desecrating a gift. I was, ready to change it up completely. I was going to throw pipes and 80s on there, which is still what I really want to do. I've been doing tons of research on the mid-muffler catback they used on the V6 Mustang because that's about as close as we can get to it. They did make this catback for the 4.0, so I know what it sounds like. And I feel like with my header combination, it will give it a very kind of similar sound to the Mustang. So I believe the Mustang, I don't quote me on this, but I think it did use tubular headers from the factory instead of cast logs like what my truck has. So I feel like it would be a lot closer to a sports car kind of sound anyway. And I feel like in that scenario, the Flowmasters would definitely take a more tin can kind of sound, which I really don't want. And I don't want to find out the hard way that it'll have that, because that's probably my least favorite part about Flowmasters is that weird tin can sound they tend to give off. On classic cars, it works. On modern cars, it doesn't to me. So that's kind of my dilemma right now. Is I'm torn between, do I keep the Flowmaster and not completely desecrate a gift, or do I want to change things up a little bit, go with the pipes and 80s? It'll be a lot louder, and with it being a mid-muffler setup, because I will run it a mid-muffler setup, the drone will be mitigated at least a little bit. It probably still will have a good bit of drone, but probably won't be quite as bad as a X-Pipe with Flowmasters. So I don't know for sure what I'm going to do. Obviously, I've got a lot of time to decide because I'm still waiting on that loan I gave out to be repaid to me, in which case then I can actually go and do it. But yeah, that's kind of the dilemma I'm at right now. So, yeah. A lot of people are probably going to say, why don't you just run the Gibson setup? It's too quiet. Like I've said, I don't want quiet. I want noisy, but not overbearing. So that's kind of that. But that's kind of where I'm at right now with the truck. Besides that, though, it's been perfectly fine. I seem to be having a couple of small maintenance bugs. Like I get this weird bang noise anytime I turn the heater on. I'm torn between whether being the blend door actuator and the heater core. I haven't tried it with AC. I'm going to try it eventually if it warms up a little bit, or if I just wear a ton of clothing and get inside of it and try it to see, because obviously I'll know then if it does it with the AC on, it's obviously the blend door actuator, and if not, then it's the heater core, so which will be a real pain to replace. So hopefully that's not the case, but it's not a big deal. It just makes this really loud bang, and it's kind of obnoxious. It spooks me and my passengers anytime it happens, especially if I have the heater on high. So I'm trying to avoid that. But besides that, really, I think that's one of the only things I can really complain about. Minus it's been creaking a lot lately, and I know it's probably a bushing in the rear end somewhere. If not, the back sway bar links are probably trying to go to match up the fronts. But yeah, I've kept this video going on long enough. I know it's been a lot of talking, a lot of just jibber jabber, but I haven't really had anything to do. It's been raining all day, so I haven't been able to really do much more than go and get my hair cut, obviously, as you guys probably can tell. and do pretty much work. That's pretty much all I've been doing today. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video. That's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully I can figure this out soon. Like I said, I'm kind of just done with the impersonated V8 phase. I want to get into something that kind of just owns the platform as a whole. If I'm going to have a V6 truck, I need to own the V6 truck, not try to, I guess you could say, hide from it and be like, oh yeah, it kind of sounds like a V8, but I would rather, own the fact that I have a V6 instead of trying to make it sound like something it's not, pretty much. But yeah, that's kind of that. Keep in mind that's not hate to anyone who's wanted to run Flowmasters or is running Flowmasters. Like I said, I like my Flowmaster in my truck. It's a nice sound, and I do like it. I just I'm kind of stuck. I forget the phrase, but I'm kind of stuck in a hard place right now with deciding what to do. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everyone.